I played against the under 12 chess champions of Egypt. I did my research and this guy seems pretty legit and is also pretty strong. So let's see what happened. I'm playing as black and my opponent decided to play d4. Now I replied with d5, the move I always play, and now we have a queen's gambit. After the move e6, this is a queen's gambit declined. Now, as white you can play a lot of moves. For example, knight c3, which is the by far most played move, knight on f3, bishop on f4, e3. My opponent decided to play knight on c3 and now bishop on b4. Bishop on b4 is a try to get a Ragozin that we have after knight on f3. Now you could play something else, for example a3, which is not super precise, queen on a4, which is a good line. You could even try to do something with the bishop, for example, or play e3. Now my opponent replied with knight on f3, and after knight on f6 we have a Ragozin. He played queen on a4, which is a line. It is a really annoying one. Now, if you know theory, which I don't really know pretty well, black has a good plan and can equalize pretty easily, although I would say it is an annoying line. Now, the only move is knight on c6. You have to defend the bishop, otherwise, I mean, you can just resign. And now he played knight on e5. Now, knight on e5 is a sideline. Instead of knight on e5, you usually play e3, and then I might castle, I might play bishop on d7. So with this move, you are saying, I want to win this knight. What are you going to do? Now, apparently the move is a5 in order to defend the bishop, but I played bishop on d7, which is fine. I mean, it's not unplayable. The point is that I'm defending the knight. I don't want to take any risk. And he decided to take the bishop. Now, you might wonder what happens if you take the knight, because after this happened and you take with the bishop, this bishop will be hanging. Just do, although I have the in-between move, bishop take on c3 with check. So I wouldn't have any problem. He decided to take the bishop on d7, which makes sense. And now queen takes on d7. Apparently, I should have taken with the knight. I mean, I'm not losing, of course, but okay, it's still fine. And okay, apparently the move was e3, but he decided to take, which is not a good move, because I can't take with the knight. And the point is that your knight is pinned, there is a lot of pressure on the knight, and I'm also threatening to take the pawn, so it's not a really simple position to play. Bishop on d2, and now I win the pawn. Apparently though, this is not the correct move. I should have played knight on b6. So, wait, knight on b6? Or, okay, knight on b6. I guess you need to move the queen, queen on d1, and now we can take the pawn with the queen. Apparently this is wrong, because after we take, and you take the queen, you can just castle long. And in this position, I spent a ton of time, a crazy ton of time, because there is probably only one move that saves the position for me, I'm up a pawn, that saves the position, which is knight on c6. Otherwise, I just get destroyed. Let's say I want to take the knight and go back. I take this way, there is just bishop take, this knight is hanging, so what can I do? If I take the bishop, I lose the knight, is pinned. So let's say I don't take the bishop, I see that, and I want to go back. Before, I still lose the knight. This position is so tricky, so I cannot play this. I cannot obviously play this. There is a fork, but again, this still works. I'm going to lose the knight. I thought about playing c5, but again, I thought I was losing. I think because of this, and well, if I take, he can probably take, and yeah, I guess just win the knight. So instead of doing that, you have to take, now I take, then there is this, I go back and you take. So yeah, I saw this position and I wasn't sure about this because I'm going to lose another pawn. So I decided to play the only move that basically gives you equality. Okay, knight c6. What is the point? The point is that I'm going to lose a pawn anyway. I'm going to lose a pawn, although remember that I'm up a pawn, so I'm going to be safe. Now, as you can see, I had 8 minutes. Now I have 5:40. I spent almost 3 minutes. I found the best move. It was really tricky, but now my opponent has a ton of time advantage, which is important. I know it is rapid, but almost 4 minutes of advantage is quite a lot. He decided to take. Now, I took this way. You could play this. And then we will get a position like this, which I think is pretty much what we got in game. Because he decided to play these. Ah, okay. I thought this was better because you are forced to play 8D. So what is the point? We basically get the same position as before, but now you played 8D, which is arguably a weakness. And I go back, you just take the pawn. I play king on e6, attacking the rook, and now I guess it's time to take control of the file, otherwise, I mean, what else can I do? So rook on d8. Now king on e6 wasn't the most precise move, because you just have bishop c4, so putting pressure on the king. For this reason, I decided to play king on e7, which is a strong move, getting away from any possible check and trying to play this safely. Now, it was rook. I'm slightly worse because he has more active pieces. I decided to play f6. What is the point? I want to prevent e5. I don't want my opponent to open everything and destroy me because my king is not really safe. And he's trying to open everything, of course, so he played f4. Now rook d6. What is my point? I want to double rooks. If I manage to do that, the position is pretty equal. Although I gave my opponent the chance to take. Obviously, he decided to take because this leaves me with a weakness. Although the advantage of having a pawn on d6 is that I'm covering the square on e5, so my opponent cannot make a lot of progresses. Although in exchange he has the control of the d file, so I need to put the rook probably on the c file. He decided to play bishop on d5, which is a pretty good move. Now rook c8. The king slides on b1, avoiding any possible check. And now rook on c7. What is the point? I mean, I don't have a lot of things to play, honestly. I'm kind of wasting a move. And also in the future, let's say I want to move the knight, I'm defending the b pawn, so it makes sense. But I play this because pretty much there isn't a lot to do. And now I can push the pawn, and I decided to play pawn on h6, putting the pawn on the dark square. Then to have all the pawns on dark square, so this bishop is not going to be a menace. And I decided to play g4. g4 gives away all the advantage because I can play g5. And I decided to play knight on a5 instead. I know it's taking a lot of space, but you can't really make a lot of progresses in a position like this. So now knight on c4, just trying to make my knight a bit better. And I'm also threatening to play knight on e3, so you need to do something about that. For this reason, he decided to play g5, avoiding again this threat. Knight on e3 will win the pawn on g4. Okay, you could defend it, but my knight will be pretty strong indeed. So I decided to take, and with this transformation, I'm trying to make a target for me. So this pawn. Knight on e5, trying to put in the knight on a really good outpost. Kinda makes sense. I'm also preventing a rook infiltration. Although, as you can see, I have 2 minutes against 6.5, which is not fair. So rook on h1, playing to infiltrate. It is a move that makes a lot of sense. Now Stockfish is saying this is imprecise, but he doesn't know how to play, of course. Now rook c8, which is a mistake because allows bishop d5. Rook c7 again, and now the rook infiltration. Looks like I'm going to get destroyed, although I just have the move king on f8, and everything is defended. Apparently king on d8 was more precise because now you have a check. Although after the check, which my opponent played, king on e7, You are threatening to win this once again, but I can just push. It's true that you are better, but as you can see, it's not even +1. It's not even too close to +1. Because, okay, you have more active pieces, but I have everything defended. You cannot really do a lot. You would like to attack the pawn with the bishop, but you can't. All the squares are controlled by me. So I'm kind of making a fortress, but I have 1 minute and 20 seconds. So b6. Now, of course, I'm not going to play the most precise chess of my life with 1 minute to think. So I played rook d6. Now rook d6 loses the game because it allows the move king on a4 or king on b4 as my opponent played. So the king is going to get in and is going to destroy me. So I decided to play a6, blocking all the square for the king. But let's say you play something like rook b8. I thought rook b8 was winning. Rook b8, okay, you can give a check. You can give a check and then push. Okay, but let's say I play this. It's a check once again. This is falling. What can I do now? Knight on f4. But you're going to take. So yeah, as you can see, if you play rook b8, you are going to win a pawn definitely. My opponent decided to play, yeah, this instead. And this gives away all the advantage because you give me time to do something, you give me time to defend, and you give me time to target this king. Also, by playing this move, the king doesn't have the a4 square. So yeah, this wasn't a great move. And I played rook c7, which is a really good move because I'm threatening to give you a check and you have to go back. Now before we give the check and the king has to go away. Now the knight goes back. What happens if you play something like rook b1? In this case, I would have the move knight on d7 because the rook moved and I will be pretty fine. So what happened in the game? He decided to give me a check. Now king d8 is somehow a great move, the literally only move that defends the rook. Now you target this pawn. Let me tell you something. I am in a fortress. You cannot get in. There is nothing you can do. Although my opponent has a winning plan. A really strong winning plan, I will say. Look at my time. I have 30 seconds and this is 4 minutes and 20. His strategy is going to win on time. Let me tell you something. It's a pretty good one because there is nothing I can do in order to prevent that. Like, I have 20 seconds. I'm playing all the best moves. I'm defending. I am in a fortress. My opponent can't do anything because if you push this pawn, I'm actually going to give you a check and then take. So I will be up pawn. And I'm just trying to play really fast moves. I'm still playing correctly. This position is not where to defend, but I need time. I need time in order not to lose. So yeah, I'm just trying my best. I decided to take because the more pieces we played, the higher are the chances for me to win. Now, this move was random. Like, I played this move and I was like, why didn't I play at least king c6? Cutting everything, but yeah. Now, if you're wondering what happens if you take, I'm going to take with check. So I saw that and I didn't want to play rook g7 because it will be too passive. Also, the pawn was hanging now. But yeah, I didn't have time. I was just going to play super fast. Although in this position, I think I will play king c6. King c6, there is king d4 though, defending everything. Okay, now I get it. So I played this move and apparently the move is king d4, defending the pawn. And I'm super passive. It's probably going to win somehow. Although if you play this way, well, I'm just going to take this pawn. I could have taken that. Look at my time. Before saying, well, you didn't play the endgame precisely. Okay, guys, I have 7 seconds. I cannot play fast chess. I'm not that good. I'm not Hikaru. I'm just trying to give checks. This is super equal, by the way. It's not that I'm losing. I saved it. I threw it and I saved it the second later. Although 1 second is a lot when you have 2 seconds left, you know? That's what I'm saying. Now, if you take the pawn, I take this. Apparently, it is a winning endgame, apparently. Yeah, apparently it is. But what can I say? I played this move, and I lost on time. Again, it is slightly better for him, but nothing crazy. I mean, it won't be easy to win this endgame. That's for sure. But yeah, it was an hard game because I mess up in the opening. Like somehow I got a really, really hard position. I needed to calculate pretty well. I calculated pretty well. And I played a pretty good game. Like, I played with 92.3% accuracy. And we both played like 2600 according to the chess.com review. But yeah, this was a really good game, a really challenging game. I have to say, my opponent was the better player in this game. He had a ton of time advantage. He had a better position for sure. It was defendable, but it was really hard to defend, and I had to spend a lot of time. So yeah, these kids are crazy. And see why he's the Egypt champion. And I hope next time, if I get to play against him, it will go differently. But yeah, that's it for today, guys, and see you soon with another video.